Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network. And welcome back, everybody. Every time we get together with him and his team, we learn so much about this thing called THC and CBD, which is helping so many people feel better mentally and physically. One of the most important things for me is knowing that this is the first and only certified living wage recreational cannabis dispensary in Canada's capital. That's a big deal because that means that the employees aren't just getting paid, call it minimum wage. They're getting paid what it takes to live. And that says a lot to me about this company, and especially why it's called mytuner-radio.ca. We're going to dig into some of the products and dispel a couple of maybe myths or misconceptions. Clayton Armstrong is the owner and founder of Good Nature, and he's back with us. Hey, buddy, how you doing?
Hey, fantastic. How are you today?
Super. Yeah, it's great to have you back here. I want to dig into a couple of words that have been tossed around for decades regarding THC. And I believe people have heard these words, but they're not really sure exactly what it is. Hash. What is hash? Can we start there?
So yeah, hash is a way that sort of the first way they concentrated cannabis to get a higher THC level. It is basically taking the trichomes or the sort of balls of resin that are produced by the plant, knocking those off the plant, concentrating them, basically removing the vegetative matter away from it, and then they press it with heat. There's many different ways to remove it. Some use ice water hash, so you'll freeze those balls of oil and they'll get knocked off in a sort of wash. There's ways to do it with solvents, with CO2, and different things, but basically it's taking those trichomes, those oils, and removing a large portion of the vegetative matter, and then what you're left with is a concentrated form. You then press it, and it becomes hash. The better the hash, now this is something that a lot of people don't realize, the best hash in the world, when you actually light it, will melt because it's almost like a pure oil. So it'll actually melt a lower quality, and I shouldn't say lower quality, but one with more vegetative matter in it is going to smoke when you light it on fire. So that's just a little way to tell the quality of your hash or the purity of it. The more it melts and the less it sort of smokes when you put a lighter to it, the better it is.
Wow. Why would you want to use hash, or why would you want to buy a product that has hash? Because there's quite a few on your website, goodnaturecannabis.ca. What are the benefits?
Well, it's definitely it's a different high. The process does remove, I think, a lot of the cannabinoids that sort of shape the buzz that are maybe in the vegetative matter. So a hash buzz is a lot of people will describe it as more of a functional buzz. It's less kind of sedative, okay, and more of a head thing, I would say. A lot of old school people love it because back in the day it was the only thing that was available. Before we learned how to grow cannabis under streetlights, hash was what was sort of coming in. So lots of old guys love it and are sort of true to that. The newer generation is definitely more into the sort of cannabis side of things, but hash is it's a more concentrated form of cannabis, so a lot of people will lean to it in that way, so you don't have to smoke as much vegetative matter to get sort of the same results. So people will use it for that, and then some people just like that sort of different buzz and will gravitate to it. So I would say it's just those people that like concentrates, which there are a million of as well. Hash would be what I would consider a concentrate, but there's so many other concentrates as well. But that one, I would say, is the closest concentrate to the plant.
Gotcha. I have let me go there. Let me ask this. I had two questions, so let's go with this one. So hash, I see on your website, we have hash rosin, ROSIN. What is that? And then I think I've seen resin, RESIN. What's the difference?
Yeah, so it gets into a little bit of complexity with those two. So live rosin is basically made from a plant that isn't dried yet. You're basically cutting that plant and you're pressing it while it's still technically alive. And that is considered a live rosin. When you go to a live resin, so it's the same thing, but rosin is made with sort of a solventless way, and resin is made with a solvent. So that's the way. So they're both live, and they can both be just resin and rosin. So when it gets just resin and rosin, that plant has been dried. So live is green, and not live is a dried plant that they then extract it from. So those are the big differences between the two. There's the live resin. They'll use a freezing method. They'll also use they'll freeze it beforehand before they actually process it. There's a lot of different ways that they sort of preserve the terpenes when you get into the live resin and the live rosins. But yeah, it's the big difference between the resin and the rosin is basically the live resin is cured a little more. They'll go through a curing process, and the rosin is more sort of straight out of the plant. So those are the big differences. But the big thing to know, live resin, live rosin is from a live plant, and then resin and rosin on its own, just the name, is a dried plant.
Wow.
The extract comes from.
Can you pick up your business and just move it to the States, please?
I would love to. I would love to. It definitely, I would love to be down there in New York. That's for sure. It would be awesome. So
you have
or at least see Good Nature go down there. Someone start a Good Nature. I would love it.
Oh, like you have such deep knowledge, and you're very transparent, very honest about it. This is what it is. This is what it does. Some people with businesses like this stay away from terms like buzz and things like that because maybe they're afraid that it's going to be viewed a certain way, but it is what it is. Some of those products produce that, and if that's what you want, buy that product. That's what it is. If you don't, gravitate towards something else, which we'll get to in a second. But I'm curious, top 3 products for you right now, or top 3 categories for products. Either one. What do you think?
For sure, flour.
Okay.
Is number one. When it comes terms to quantity, for sure, flour is king. Secondly, pre-rolls. And I was one of those people that said, I will never buy a pre-roll. I am definitely that guy now. When I get home from work and I have to roll weed, I get so mad now. And it's just being so spoiled. We're so spoiled now in this industry with all these choices. But pre-rolls and infused pre-rolls are definitely number 2 for us. So infused pre-rolls can be hash and weed. It can be diamonds and weed, rosin and weed, resin and weed, resin and diamonds. It can be shatter diamonds and rosin. Like there's triple infused. There's all sorts of infused joints. So, the pre-roll market is huge. I was a bit of a purist at the beginning. Why would you want that? And now, convenience is why you want it.
Well, I 100%. And it's also when you roll yourself, what's in there, so you're confident. Yeah. But there's so many now different products and variety, it's like, why wouldn't you? Yes, you pay a little bit more, but oh my gosh, on your website, the number of pre-roll products. I mean, I'm scrolling. There's like so many. You could do
hundreds.
Yeah, oh my gosh. I'm like, oh my God,
Hundreds.
even more than I thought. It's like whatever you want, you got, Do people come in, Clayton, do they come in and they say, all right, this is what I'm trying to achieve. I don't want to be mellow. I don't want to be, I'm just giving hypothetical here. I don't want to be like totally high and buzzed. I just want to, I want to feel good. I want to, maybe a happy feeling. What pre-roll do you have for me? Does it work that way?
Absolutely. And that's where, it comes back to your employees. If you can give that sort of customer service, there's not a lot of places out there that do that. They either, just don't hire the staff or don't, I shouldn't say that. They don't pay their staff enough to care and to do it. But it's definitely a way to set yourself away from the group, to have knowledgeable staff. Because there's a lot of people that, there's so many options now. Back in the day, the question was, do you have weed? And the answer was yes. You went and got it. You know what I mean? There was no choice. But now, with legalization, we have choice, and it can be really overwhelming for someone who, maybe was light or just, dabbling in it now, or even someone who knows what they're looking for, but suddenly there's just so much choice. So for someone to know, the kind of effects that it's going to have on you, it's paramount to business, for sure, and customer service.
And even talking to some of the people that you work with, Mike being one of them.
Oh, yeah, he's the best.
Oh, my gosh. Like, you all know your stuff. It's not like you're kind of floundering through, well, maybe you try this. No, it's like, oh, you want to achieve that? Oh, here you go. Yeah, this is what you need. It's very refreshing.
Yeah, Mike and I were just in Toronto at the Kind Winter Fair, it's called, and it's a trade show. So, we're always out there looking at the new stuff, what's new, what's great. We also do a review show on Instagram, and we have it also on YouTube, although a lot gets taken down on YouTube.
Wow.
But so we're always able to get new products before they drop and try them. So we're always sort of on that cutting edge of new things, because we've just never had this much choice, and everyone really gravitates to new products and wants to try new things. So
sure.
You got to stay on top of it.
So I just had a flash. Now, when you said, you guys try the products and see how they are and how they work and all of that, is there some latitude there? Because what does something for you in one way might not do it for somebody else in another way. Does that make sense?
Yes, and that is very true. I was diagnosed as a young man with ADD. Things affect me differently because of that. So, every one of us is unique. We can guide you. It's almost like anything. Like, the education teaches one way of learning. And if you fit into that, great. If you don't, you're not going to have, a great experience. Or I shouldn't say that, or you're not going to learn as much. And it's the same in anything. Everyone's different. This is a generalization we'd be giving, but you may not have those effects, with maybe you're on some medication, maybe you have some other, underlying things like ADD, like I have. But the more knowledge and the more information you give the bud tender, the more we can sort of guide you again. Because, like, if someone came in and I have ADD, I need something that, kind of calms me down. I'm going to have you covered. I know, because I have ADD, right? So in that way, again, it comes back to customer service. But there is always a unique effect to the individual because we're all unique. There is no two people the same. So there's going to be, we can definitely generalize it, and the effects generally are going to be that way. But each person is unique. Edibles is the biggest one of them all. What 10 milligrams does to one person it might do something totally different to the next. And it has no correlation to your smoking tolerance or your tolerance for consumption of cannabis other ways than eating it. My manager here is a 110-pound soaking wet, and she can eat edibles. It doesn't do anything to her. She just metabolizes it too quick. There's something going on there, but it doesn't work on her. I eat 30 milligrams, and I'm like happy guy.
Wow.
Her husband, Mike, he's a big guy. He eats an insane amount of edibles to get sort of where I am with 30 milligrams. He'll probably eat 100. So, yeah, edibles is so unique to the individual. Out of all the cannabis products, edibles are the most unique to the individual and the most cautious, I want to say, for consumers. You can't, if you smoke too much, put it out, 15, 20 minutes, you're going to be okay. Edibles are not like that. It lasts, 6 to 8 hours, even longer. So if you eat too much, you're in for not a good time for 6 to 8 hours. So we always say go low, go slow. Really be careful with edibles. It is a different buzz. I compare it more to, if you do too much, I compare it more to drinking. The effects, kind of green out, as we call it in the industry, and it's not a good feeling. So cautious, be very cautious with edibles, and as I said, go low, go slow.
Yeah, and even just a tiny bit more of an edible. Let's say you do. I'm going hypothetical here. One certain type of edible, you do half. And you're like, yeah, it's good. Right. I want to go a little bit more. Let me do 3/4. Bam. Could be I don't want to say game changer, but could be completely over the top of that little teeny bit more. How come you said that when you smoke, it's the effects wear off faster, it sounded like? Why is that compared to the edibles?
Because basically what happens is your liver converts it into a different chemical than when you smoke it. So I forget the actual, I don't want to quote a term or the abbreviation for it, but your liver transforms it into a different, it's THC something else. I'm losing it off the top of my head. But when you smoke it, it's THC. So that's why it actually is different when you ingest it. It changes it into a different compound, and when you smoke it and ingest it through your lungs, it's THC. So.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, we're learning. And it's funny, this went down the direction the questions that we're going to ask. Things you should know about each of the products. So you just shared a lot about edibles and what we should know. What about tinctures? We haven't really hit upon that.
Yeah, I mean, we have many of them. Again, concentrating, right? Concentrate, you can have a CBD tincture, a CBG tincture, a combination, a THC tincture. So we're getting into that sort of concentration of cannabinoids so that you're going to get the benefits, again, without the smoking, which, I smoke cannabis. Smoking is not good for you. There's no end ifs or buts. Combusting anything and inhaling it is not healthy. So those tinctures are another way, edibles, tinctures are another way of sort of getting rid of the bad part of cannabis, which is the combustion part. So yeah, tinctures, people, gravitate to them. We have ones that are made from hemp. We have that people use for their pets. We have ones used for sleep. We have one used for daytime, for mood stabilization, for sleep. It's just on and on for just feeling good, anxiety, depression. It sort of goes on and on why people take them. We're still learning a lot. We're still doing the research on this. So clinically, does it do that? we're not 100% yet, but there seems to be too many people saying that it does help them, that it seems too high to be a placebo. But we're getting there. I know the States, you guys are so far ahead of us when it comes to researching. Veterinarians in the U.S. are allowed to prescribe hemp. The data is out. You've done the studies for pet anxiety and for inflammation. It's been proven because you can't give a dog a placebo, or you can give it a placebo, but it's not mental, right? So the dogs are easier to tell if it actually works or not. Where a lot of placebo effect in your head can dictate things for us humans. So yeah, but up here in Canada, if a veterinary prescribes CBD to a dog, they lose their license. So that's how far behind the veterinarians are here compared to the States. And the data is out. The studies are out in the U.S. It's undeniable, but we're just sort of behind the eight ball with that. And I think medically, it's the same way. You guys are, ahead in research. You have more resources, more people, and you're just sort of leaps and bounds ahead of us when it comes to researching medical and the medical side of THC and CBG.
Sure. Yeah, and that's thanks for bringing that up, because we haven't even jumped into that about the effects of it on our animals. I just want to share once again that you guys are the first and only certified living wage recreational cannabis dispensary in Canada's capital. You care about not only your customers, but your employees, where you pay them what they need to be paid in order to live based on the economy. Says a lot. Says a lot about you. Says a lot about your company. And, I was kind of joking how I'd love you to come to the States because you can't sell there to here where I am.
No.
But I haven't yet to meet somebody that has the knowledge and the passion that you do, and your employees as well. But you certainly would welcome any investors from the U.S. To work with you, right?
Absolutely. We're brothers, and we're family, so it would be amazing. And I think the Canadian market was very kind of saturated at the beginning, and we're beginning to thin out and see who's going to be around for a while and who's not. We just passed our third year, and we're still kicking and doing well, and paying a living wage, and the only one still, which I kind of thought maybe someone else would jump on board of treating people like people.
Yeah.
But no one has. But I make a great living. I have no qualms. I wouldn't have done it any other way. I couldn't do it any other way. I just wouldn't feel. It wouldn't feel right. So. Well,
yeah, I'm a firm believer in you do the right thing, and the abundance comes your way. That's just the law of the universe. And maybe in the very beginning of your business, it was maybe it was a challenge to pay living wage, financially.
Absolutely.
Right. But you did, and things are growing and literally growing and moving forward. And it's just a testament to doing the right thing. It's doing good. And that's what it is. goodnaturecannabis.ca. Clayton, great having you on here. Love all the insight, all the info, and looking forward next time we get together.
Amazing. Thanks so much for having me.
Thank you. Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
Adopt US Kids presents Multiple Choice Parenting.
Your daughter just had her first breakup. Do you A, put yourself in her shoes?
How could he do this to you? And for Sheila, she has split ends.
B, console her?
Oh, sweetie, this is going to happen a lot. 4, maybe 5 more times before you get married.
C, take charge?
Got to get this all straightened out. Give a little talking to, man to man, mano a mano. Hey, Steve! Is now a good time? No? Okay, no problem. Bye.
Or D, help her find a new boyfriend?
I know a great place to meet boys. The internet. Nice, single boys. Never mind. How about some ice cream?
As a parent, there are no perfect answers. But you don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same.
For more information on how you can adopt, visit adoptuskids.org. A public service announcement from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.